Hello, everyone, and happy long eve to all. We hope you're enjoying this holiday season, and we wanted to, as is tradition, read a little tale from the land of Elbor. And so today, I'll be reading you the tale of the Tower of Light and the Long Eve. In the cold heart of the Long Eve, when the nights stretch and the air cuts like a blade, travelers on the roads of Elbor are warned to tread with care. It was on such a night that young Arendor set forth towards the city of Westreach, his satchel heavy with books and his mind tangled with worry. His goal was no small one: the Star Spire Collegium, one of the most prestigious arcane academies in the land. Arendor had studied tirelessly, but doubt gnawed at him like a restless wind. Would he measure up? As the night deepened upon the road, the Long Eve revealed its crueler side. A howling blizzard sent by Elduria herself descended upon the land, its icy tendrils creeping into Arendor's very bones. Snow fell in such thick drifts that the road ahead vanished entirely. The young man pressed on, though his strength waned and his resolve faltered. He whispered prayers to Laurus and Famir for protection, to Elduria to lessen her tempestuous fury, and to Atyr for some scrap of knowledge that would aid him. But it seemed the gods would not answer, and he began to fear that the cold would claim him. But then, oh, a blessed sight, a light. Dim at first, it flickered like a star caught between the snowflakes. Arendor stumbled towards it, his steps quickening as hope bloomed in his chest. The light grew, and soon he beheld a tall yet humble tower, standing resolute against the storm. He knocked upon its heavy wooden door, and it creaked open to reveal an old man with a long, silvery beard and eyes that glimmered like rime-covered leaves. "Please," Arendor begged, "I am lost and freezing. Might I shelter here for the night?" The old man considered him for a moment, his gaze sharp, yet kind. "You may," he said, stepping aside, "but only if you help settle a dispute between myself and my colleagues. We are scholars, you see, and our arguments run deep. Perhaps the wisdom of a stranger can avail us of our squabbling, and prove me right, of course," he said with a smile and a twinkle of mischief in his eyes. Arendor agreed, grateful as he entered and felt the chill slowly ebbing out of his road-weary bones. The interior of the tower was a scholar's dream, walls lined with bookshelves that stretched to the rafters, a fire crackling in a wide hearth, and the scent of old parchment mingling with spiced wine. The old man led Arendor up a spiraling staircase to a grand chamber where 3 more wizened scholars sat in heated debate around a table piled high with scrolls. "Ah, our guest," one of the scholars exclaimed. This man was stout and balding, with a voice like rolling thunder. "We've been awaiting a fresh perspective, young traveler. Tell us, what is the true nature of magic?" "For pity's sake, man," the second scholar, a woman with sharp eyes and hair like spun gold, said, "let the poor boy rest a moment. He looks a frightful sight." Arendor availed himself of the spiced wine and sat in a plush armchair near the fire, while the scholars busied themselves with making him comfortable, all the while carrying on with their bickering, until finally he sat with his mug of wine, a bowl of hearty mushroom soup, fresh baked bread, and a thick blanket across his lap. "Now that you're settled, it is obvious that magic is will made manifest," the scholar with spun gold hair declared. "It exists to impose order upon chaos. The weaving of spells and crafting of enchantments are testaments to the triumph of intellect over the wild forces of nature." "Nonsense," this third scholar said, his voice like the hiss of a distant flame. He was a wiry man with hair the color of embers. "Magic is chaos itself. It is untamed, unpredictable, and glorious in its defiance of the rules. We do not shape magic. We merely ride its currents." The fourth scholar, a broad-shouldered figure with hair like white clouds, stroked his beard. "And yet, is magic not both?" he asked. "It is a balance, a harmony between order and chaos, each fueling the other in an endless dance. Without chaos, there is no creativity. Without order, no stability. Both are necessary." Arendor listened intently, his mind racing. At last he spoke. "Perhaps magic is not meant to be defined so simply. It is a reflection of the caster's heart. For some, it brings order. For others, chaos. It can be harmony or discord, light or shadow, but always shaped by the will of those who wield it." The scholars all fell silent, nodding in agreement. "Wise words," one murmured. "Wise words indeed." And they all smiled. Arendor's insight and solutions saw to it that all of the scholars felt right in their theories. And so, with the debate settled, they moved on to other topics. They discussed magical theorems, the nature of the various known planes, and soon their conversation turned to the wonders of Westreach. "Do you know how the door came to float among the clouds?" one asked, a twinkle in his eye. Arendor admitted he did not, and the scholars smiled. "Long ago," the first scholar began, "4 powerful elemental lords arrived to this plane and found upon the face of Elbor a nexus of elemental power. They declared this should be their seat of power in this realm, and so they set to work. The genie Firkan, master of earth, raised the door from the face of Elbor. With his mighty hands he shaped the stone, creating the foundations for the floating door." "But earth alone was not enough," said the second. "Zethalar, genie of flame, infused these lands with his fire, tempering the stone with unyielding strength, and the flames still burn deep within, some say, granting warmth and resilience to the door." "And yet, strength and form are meaningless without life," added the third. "Ah-Shirah, genie of water, summoned rivers and springs to flow through the door, ensuring it would thrive with beauty and endless renewal." "Finally," said the fourth, "it was Arathon, genie of air, who lifted the door into the skies, binding them to the winds that carry them still. His breath gave the land freedom, granting it a home among the heavens." Each genie played a role, they explained, and together they created the marvel that is Westreach, a testament to the harmony and power of the elements. Arendor marveled at their tales, his earlier fears forgotten. Late into the night, they spoke of the door of Westreach, as Arendor plied the scholars with questions regarding the elemental powers, the nature of the connection between the elemental planes and the prime material, and all of the many wonders of magic. Until eventually, the warmth of the fire, the rich aroma of spiced wine and mushroom soup, and the scholar's lively discourse lulled him into a sense of wonder and peace, and slowly he drifted off to sleep in his armchair. When Arendor awoke, he found himself cold, lying on the snow-dusted road. The storm had passed, leaving the world sparkling under a clear sky, as Famir's light fell upon the crystalline structures left by Eldoria's flurries. There was no sign of the tower, nor of the kind scholars who had taken him in. Bewildered, he searched for any sign of it, eager to give his thanks to the 4 scholars who had saved him from a cold end beside the road. But they were nowhere to be found. And so he carried on with his journey to the great city of Westreach. Days later, he stood before the door, beholding their wonder, the tales from the scholars fresh in his memory. He made his way into the city, up through the rings of Doresta, until he arrived at the gates of Starspire Collegium, his nerves returning once more as he stepped over the threshold. And after a time, he found himself before the entrance examiners, their scholars' robes and dour looks setting his stomach aflutter. And then they presented the task for entry, a theoretical treatise on how the floating door of Westreach came to be. Arendor smiled, his confidence blooming in his chest, and he filled the parchment with every detail he recalled from that fateful night, weaving the scholars' tales into a compelling essay. And when he finished, the examiners were so impressed that they admitted him on the spot. To this day, they say, Arendor became one of the most brilliant mages to ever pass through the Starspire's halls. And on long eve nights, when the wind howls and snow blankets the roads, travelers tell the story of the young man, the Tower of Light, and the mysterious scholars who may yet still wander the coldest corners of Elbor. Thank you all so much for such a wonderful year. We've had so much success. We've seen so much growth. And during this time of the year, we reflect on everything that has happened, on our gratitude to our community for allowing us and enabling us to do all of the things that we have done this year. So we hope you enjoyed this tale from Elbor, and we hope you have a lovely holiday season. Thank you.